بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا وإمامنا وحبيبنا أبي القاسم محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I praise Allah Almighty and I send prayers and blessings upon Prophet Mohammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his noble family, righteous companions, and all those that follow them with the right guidance. Ameen. Glory be to you, O Allah. No knowledge have we except that which you have taught us. Indeed, you are the all-knowing, the all-wise. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters, it's nice to be with you again. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless this gathering and to make it sincere for His sake, inshaAllah. And to open our hearts and our intellect to the noble Quran, inshaAllah. And to make the Quran an intercessor for us and not against us on the day of judgment, inshaAllah. Today, inshaAllah, we will be dealing with a topic for our thematic tafsir, Tafseer al-Mawdu'i. So I want you to switch into thematic tafsir mode. Go into the gear of thematic tafsir. Okay? Thematic tafsir gear. It rhymes. That was a joke. طيب. People are getting sleepy. طيب. So now, everyone has their Qur'ans. If you don't, get one or request one. Search engines are halal. Okay? If you want to use your magnifying glass on your phone. So what we're looking for here is the topic of jahl, which is usually translated as ignorance. This is what we are looking for now in the Quran. In terms of context, in terms of subject. In other words, what is it mentioned along with? So if you talk about jahl, is it mentioned with the subject of so-and-so or so-and-so? So start thinking. Now, and I recommend, especially for people who have good mastery of the Quran, before you use that magnifying glass, which is a symbol for the search, do your own search. See how good your own search is, right? Just, test yourself, okay? Before you go and you search it on your phone or your laptop or whatever it is you're using. Ignorance, jahl. Where do we find it? How is it used? What is it referring to? So let's get those searches going, those engines rolling. And when you get the verse, we write it on the board.
Verse and noun?
Yes, brother?
Verse and noun only could be verb? Could be the verb or...
Okay, good question. No, in all its derivatives. Not only the noun, right. Is this going to work, brother? Or?
Okay.
Because I'm not okay at I'd have to do it like this. Move this one here.
It's very long.
This one? Okay. No, this is the one I'm worried about, the shortest one.
Maybe you can put kind of okay.
For now. Okay? Yes, brother. Okay, Al-Ahqaf. Maybe, how many people are familiar with the names of the surahs? Raise your hand. Not really. So the numbers are better. 46. I'm going to have to do this. Okay. So 46.
Verse 23.
23. Read it for us, please.
قال إنما العلم عند الله
Okay, mashallah.
وأبلغكم ما أرسلت به ولكني أراكم قوما تجهلون.
Okay. And the main personality in this verse is the personality, not the tribe or the people. The main persona. Who is exactly? Prophet Hud alayhi salam. Barakallahu feek. So here, Prophet Hud alayhi salam is talking to his people, to Ad, okay? One of the most powerful peoples, civilizations that existed. And he is telling them, وَلَكِنِّي أَرَاكُمْ قَوْمًا تَجْهَلُونَ. So he is warning them, but he says, but I see that you are a people who are ignorant, in one of the translations. We'll gather some of the verses and then we'll go into further detail. Okay, so just a quick reminder. We'll write Prophet Hud alayhi salam, okay, and his people Ad. طيب. Number 2. Yes, brothers and sisters. Surah Al-Baqarah. MashaAllah. 1 minute now. So we're talking about 3, right? 2 rather. Yes?
So from verses 30 until quite a number of verses there.
A number of verses. Okay, what to what?
31 to
31 to?
38.
Okay. What's the verse? Read it for us.
وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها.
Okay, and where is the mention of al-jahl?
So it talks about the significance of knowledge being compared.
Okay. But it doesn't mention ignorance. No, we're talking about specific mention of ignorance in the form of the derivatives of Jim Ha Lam. Jahl, Jahila, Jahilun, Jahilin, and all the derivatives that you can think of.
67.
Okay, one by one. So this one we can erase, brother? No mention of ignorance here? Okay.
Baqarah 67.
Baqarah 67. The verse talking about, read it.
وإذ قال موسى لقومه إن الله يأمركم أن
نحو بقرة.
قالوا أتتخذنا قدوة قال أعوذ بالله أن أكون من الجاهلين.
Excellent. Barakallah feek. Bani Israel. Okay, excellent. What else?
7 on 9. Chapter 7, verse 190.
Another one, and then we can come back to you, brother. Somebody else. Yes, sister. 1289. Yes. So if it's Surah Yusuf, then it's definitely Yusuf, right?
Yeah.
Only in Surah Yusuf. If I say Surah Yunus, it means definitely it's talking about Yunus? No. But in Surah Yusuf, it's completely dedicated to Yusuf. So Yusuf alayhi salam, okay. And his people, can you read the verse for us? بيوسف أخي. Okay. إذ أنتم. Excellent. Right. Now we'll add one more. So here, we can write it maybe in Arabic. How many people read Arabic? Raise your hand. Subhanallah. Oh, brother. It's a given, huh? Jahilun. طيب. Sorry, I'm writing. بني إسرائيل قال أعوذ بالله أن أكون من الجاهلين. الجاهلين. Okay. طيب. And عاد تجهلون. أراكم قوما تجهلون. All right. Good. طيب. So تجهلون جاهلين جاهلون. Next. Al-Ahzab. Chapter.
33.
Okay. Verse.
72.
72. Excellent. ظلوما جهولا. Read it for us. Read it for us. Read the verse.
إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا.
Okay, barakallah fiqh. Here the persona is quite wide. It's all of humanity, right? Here al-insan is the human being. Okay, so humanity. And it is mentioned as jahula. Excellent. What else? Next. Which one? Yes, Prof?
635.
Wait, I heard Prof. Were you mentioning what? I heard wrong. Sorry.
635.
635. Al-A'raf? Is it Al-A'raf? Al-A'raf. Al-An'am. Excellent. Jahala? Yes, read it for us, brother. Or ولكن أكثرهم يجهلون وتكون. Okay, read the verse for us.
وأن كان كبر عليك إذا ولوهم فإن استطعت أن تبتغي
نفقا في الأرض
أو سلما في السماء
فتأتيهم بآية
ولا شاء الله
فتأتيهم بآية ولو شاء الله هذا لجعلهم على الهدى فلا تكونن. ما شاء الله, he's trying to read it in Arabic. Excellent, brother. فلا تكونن من الجاهلين. Okay, the persona is? Who's the main personality here? Context. Yes, brothers and sisters. Who are we talking about? Haji Shuaib, are you with us? Or you're with technical, you're with the technical, Muhammad. So I can just write prophet. What do you think? Al-Ma'ruf la yu'arraf. Here we're mentioning the names of the prophets. If you say prophet, but when you say prophet, we're talking about the seal of the Prophet ﷺ. So prophet is not any prophet, but the prophet. Right. This is also starting to. Excellent. What else? Others? Which one, brother?
93 + 6.
Chapter 93. Okay. 93:7. All right. That's ضالا. We're talking about jahl.
It has to be jahl.
Yeah.
But from the context of, the meaning.
Okay, no, we're talking now, brother, specifically, yes, the word jahl, dear brothers and sisters, and that's why I wrote it for you, right? Jim, ha, lam. Okay? If you talk about it in terms of similar meanings, it's all over, right? But we're talking about specifically jahl. And there's plenty, as you can see. And there's more. There's a lot more. You see? So we're talking specifically about the term jahl. And then we can go into more detail about what it means and what are the contexts. Okay? Maybe just a few more verses? Yes. So this one. So now you can find another one for us, brother. Specifically. Yes. Az-Zumar. Okay. Number? 59? 3964. All right. Read it. Okay. Okay. Persona? Who's the personality here? The main personality being addressed? Barakallahu feek. Next. Al-Furqan. Chapter, verse? Okay. Chapter and verse? Al-Jahiluna. Same one. Yes. 25. Furqan is the chapter number? 25. 25 verse?
63.
All right. Oops. So the main, Ibadur Rahman, right? Slave servants of Ar-Rahman. All right. Anything else? طيب. Almost all of these, as you can see, they're quite similar. Jahilin, Jahilun, right? Most of them. Except Jahula, this is a little bit different, right? Tajhalun. Give me another type. Another type. Is it there? Give me. Which one? Jahiliyyah? Jahiliyyah is there. Which one? Give it to us. Verse? ولا تبرجنا تبرج الجاهلية. The verse number? 2. 2? No. Which one? 33, 33. You said 33, 2. It's definitely not the second verse. Okay. So this one, Al-Jahiliyyah. Very good. Who's being addressed?
Woman.
Huh? Women, huh? All women. All right. We're going to say women because yes, the wives of the Prophet and then women are supposed to follow them, right? طيب. But yeah, to be more specific, we can say wives of the Prophet. طيب. Any other forms?
الجاهل.
Al-Jahil. Okay. يحسن الجاهل. Jamil. No more space. So Al-Jahil, 9. I think we'll stop at 10. Okay, just remind us, brother.
273.
73. Right.
Number 2, then 273.
273, right? Almost at the end. And we can say here that what's being talked about, the context is the poor man. Okay? Or just the poor. Okay? Good. Any questions at this point? All clear? 10. Last verse? Bijahala. Okay, very nice. Okay. We don't have jahala, that's good. Okay, Al-An'am 6.
Verse 54. وإذا جاءك الذين يؤمنون بآياتنا فقل السلام عليكم كتب ربكم على نفسه الرحمة أنه من عمل سوءا بجهالة ثم تاب بعد.
طيب, excellent. Who's being addressed here? People in general. You can just put general. Excellent. Very good. So tell me now, brothers and sisters, what is jahl? apart from the obvious translation of ignorance?
Closing of the door of thinking and door of heart.
Okay. So, a kind of distance from
the fact and actual things.
Okay. Distancing oneself from facts, from reality.
Yes.
This is ignorance. Okay. And this actually refers to a lack of knowledge. Very good. What else?
What about sorry.
And they're both asking a question, you know? Yes, go ahead. Ladies first, mashallah.
Misinterpretation of the verses.
Okay, misinterpretation of the verses of the Quran, of things that are being said. All right, very good. What else? Yes, Prof.
Being refusing or being very stubborn in something.
Being stubborn. So now we're talking about a slightly different meaning, right? Misinterpretation may have to do with lack of knowledge, but also kind of with the idea of being stubborn. Now we're talking about an ignorance that has to do with behavior. Not so much related to a lack of knowledge, but in the type of behavior, right? This is a slightly different meaning, which we don't really find, by the way, in the English language. So in the Arabic language, it's a little bit more general. So if you think all of these references are references to people with lack of knowledge, you're sadly mistaken.
What I meant
Yes, sister.
what I meant by misinterpretation is not.
Purposeful?
Yeah.
Okay, so then that has to do with behavior, right? Purposely misconstruing, right, verses or meanings into others and other contexts that do not apply. Very good. So, if we simply talk about jahl or ignorance as a lack of knowledge, to a large extent, that in many situations is excusable. Is it not?
Yeah.
I didn't know. When you advise your brother or sister and you tell them, dear brother, dear sister, and this, by the way, is one of the wisest ways to give advice. Giving advice is not simple. And having it being accepted is even more difficult. So one of the nice ways you can do that is to first ask them, do you know this? Assalamu alaikum, brother. Wa alaikum assalam. How are you? What's your name? Well, you can talk, say a few things, just introduce it, break the ice. Did you know that the Prophet, peace be upon him, forbade this? Did you know that it is sunnah to do this? Did you know that what you're doing is not exactly upon the sunnah? Something along those lines. Two possible answers, or maybe three. Yes, I knew. Then you have a problem on your hands. Okay. If he says, yes, I knew and I'm still doing it the wrong way, you're not going to get very far with that person. He says, no, I didn't know. Please tell me. Then you have found a gold mine, right? And those, I believe, are the only two possible answers. Anything else? I knew or I didn't know, right? Or I knew but I wasn't sure about it. Can you tell me more? Either way, you can do the rest. So now this person didn't know. Lack of knowledge. Are they excusable? They are. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, رُفِعَ عَنْ أُمَّةِ الْخَطَأِ وَالنِّسْيَانِ وَمَا اسْتُكْرِهُ عَلَيْهِ. Three three scenarios where we are thirdly, mastukrihu alayh, something that they are forced or compelled to do. God forbid. Let's make it easier and give one example with all three scenarios. Fasting. A mistake in fasting. I did something that breaks my fast. I didn't know that actually breaks my fast. I didn't know taking a nose drop breaks my fast. Specifically the nose, maybe the eyes. There's some difference of opinion. But if we say specifically the nose or the mouth, it is clear, right? So, I didn't know that it breaks the fast. You're excused. Lack of knowledge. Jahl. Didn't know. Next. Nisyan. I broke my fast. I forgot I was fasting. I didn't mean to. Right? How many people have broken their fast out of forgetfulness? Don't be shy. I think every single person. Is there anyone who didn't forget? I forgot once, but it wasn't Ramadan. It was nafila. I ate the first biscuit, I ate the second, the third, And then I remembered, and I said, Subhanallah, Allahumma laka alhamd. That really helped me. I needed it, right? But I forgot. And Allah knows. You're fooling Allah. Allah knows if you really forgot or not. Once I remembered, I stopped. So this is an-nisyan. You're excused. وَمَا اسْتُكْرِهُ عَلَيْهِ. In the context of fasting, being compelled. Someone sits you down, forces you to break your fast. Being forced. This is what it means. وَمَا اسْتُكْرِهُ عَلَيْهِ. That which you are forced to do. Is this imaginary? No. It's happening in China now. They forced some people to break their fast in Ramadan. They're excused. Continue your fast. You didn't want to break your fast, you were forced. So these are the three scenarios where in each one of them you are excused. Very good. Back to jahl, lack of knowledge. This is the familiar meaning. In that situation you're excused. But then you have a very common meaning that we find in the Quran, and that is jahala or jahl when it comes to behavior. And this is a reference to insolence, recklessness, foolishness, imprudence, and the list goes on. And this has to do with behavior. So when Prophet Hud alayhi salam, or Prophet Musa, or all of these prophets, when they're talking to their people, in this one, this is the one of Baqarah. Okay, there's another one in Al-A'raf. Alright? If you want, you can open up to it. Surah Al-A'raf, chapter 8. Okay, what's that? chapter 7. Absolutely. I was on the wrong. Okay. Chapter 7, verse 138. And we took the children of Israel across the sea. Then they came upon a people intent in devotion to some idols of theirs. The children of Israel then said, O Moses, make for us a god, just as they have gods. He said, indeed, you are a people behaving, notice, behaving ignorantly. Do we all have the same translation? We do, right? Okay. So you will find some different translations, sometimes translating a little bit differently. Sometimes with the word ignorance and sometimes others, especially when it comes to behavior. And this is why here they added, behaving ignorantly. You are behaving ignorantly. إِنَّكُمْ قَوْمٌ تَجْهَلُونَ. You're a people who are behaving with ignorance. Not that you are in fact ignorant of the fact that what you are requesting is disbelief. They know that. They know it's kufr. But this is the ultimate in lack of gratitude, in insolence, in foolishness, and in ignorant behavior. Allah just saved you from Fir'aun and just showed you several consecutive miracles. And on the first instance, you see a group of people worshipping an idol, and you say, "Oh Musa, make for us an idol as they have an idol." Allahu Akbar. What do you call that? What do you call such behavior? Other than insolence, ingratitude, foolishness, imprudence. Any other words that come to mind? Go ahead. Stupidity. I mean, synonyms of imprudence. Imprudence is a nice word. Okay. Idiocy, lunacy, yeah, absolutely. Ludicrousness. What else? No, but stupidity could just be a kind of, a person being dumb. Kind of in relation to jahl, meaning lack of knowledge, ignorance. No, they know. This is not just stupid. They know. And they've just been saved. This is the ultimate in ingratitude, ungratefulness. Right? In kufr. Not only as disbelief. No, just a minute. In Arabic, kufrun ni'mah. What is kufrun ni'mah? Disbelieving in ni'mah? Ni'mah in Malay, Shu'aib? What does ni'mah? Blessing. No? Same. Ni'mah in Malay means blessing. No? Which is blessing or not?
Blessing
yes.
in English.
Yeah, I know. I'm asking you, ni'mah in Malay means blessing in English.
Yes.
Or ni'mah in Arabic. Right? We agree. What's wrong?
Ni'mah in Malay.
Yes.
Same as ni'mah in
Arabic. Perfect. Which is blessing. So, kufr ni'mah, disbelieving in the ni'mah. How do you disbelieve in the ni'mah? No, this is ungratefulness. Al-kufran. Yakfurna al-ashir. When the Prophet ﷺ talks about a category of women, may Allah distance our women from being such, right? When he talked about a lot of women entering hellfire, he mentioned it is because of ingratitude to their husbands. Kufran. Kufran of al-ashir, of their husband. Ingratitude. So here we're talking about ingratitude. And this is the ultimate in ignorant behavior. إِنَّكُمْ قَوْمٌ تَجْهَلُونَ Surah Al-A'raf. Okay? Here, let's go to this one now. Al-Ahqaf, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said here, knowledge, he said, in other words, Hud alayhi salam, knowledge of its time is only with Allah, and I convey to you that which I was sent, but I see you to be a people behaving ignorantly. Here again, وَلَكِنِّي أَرَاكُمْ قَوْمًا تَجْهَلُونَ. Why? Here, again, they told Prophet Hud alayhi salam, they disbelieved in the message. Are you coming in order to dissuade us from worshipping the idols that we are worshipping? So he replies to them and he responds and he said, and then they asked for the punishment. If you are truthful, hasten the punishment. Show us this punishment that you are promising us. The ultimate in ignorant behavior. Alright. Musa and Bani Israel. So, he tells them, Allah commanded you to slaughter a cow. So they say to him, are you making fun of us? Are you mocking at us? So he said to them, I seek refuge in Allah of being from the ignorant ones. أعوذ بالله أن أكون من الجاهلين. I seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, I am not of the ignorant ones, and I will not respond to your ignorance with an ignorance similar to that. Here they are, Bani Israel, mocking at the fact that Musa is telling them, Allah orders you to slaughter a cow. This was in reply to their request to find out who killed that man. So in order to assist them, Musa is telling them, Allah orders you to slaughter a cow. After which they're going to use its limb in order to find out who the killer was. So they started mocking. And that is their habit, to mock, subhanallah, about anything that has to do with the divine. Here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, Musa tells them, أعوذ بالله أن أكون من الجاهلين. I am not of the ignorant one. I seek refuge in Allah of being of the jahilin and practicing the ignorance that you are now practicing in your mockery.
When the act of mockery, is that not be equated as arrogance?
Of course, it is arrogance. And mockery of something religious is kufr. Surah At-Tawbah is very clear. لا تعتذروا قد كفرتم بعد إيمانكم. When the munafiqeen said, no, we were just laughing and playing around and mocking. This was equated to kufr. You don't mock about something religious or something that has to do with Allah or His commandments. It's very dangerous.
So
very serious. Yes.
So is it okay to takfir them whoever doing mocking?
If mocking something that has to do with deen is very serious. Mocking the Quran or mockery about Allah or the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is very serious.
In such cases, even though they never deny Islam verbally, so we should.
But how can you explain mockery of, let's say, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? It's very serious. Should not be taken lightly because it is equated with kufr in the Quran.
So that nullifies the iman of person.
That person has to maybe say shahada again. If it is clear mockery. Okay, if they say, no, I wasn't mocking and he really, maybe, you misunderstood it. But if he was really mocking, this is equated with kufr. Very dangerous. Are you guys being exposed to clear cases of mockery of the deen? It's very serious. It's very serious. Of course, please, let's be precise and accurate. Mockery of the deen, of the Quran, of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But let's say someone, is mocking at some, let me call it, lack of guidance on the part of Muslims, or maybe some malpractice on the part of Muslims. In that case, may not be mocking the deen per se, but they're saying, look at the way Muslims are acting or something like that. Be careful. We're talking about mockery of the deen. With respect to Allah, His messenger or messengers, peace be upon them all, or the Quran, something along those lines, right? That is very serious. And I know, it is going on. And even in some Muslim countries. But someone had something to say, one of you.
I was asking, while they are mocking, it is clear they are doing kufr. It is clear and there is no doubt. In such cases, should we takfir them or we should just let it be them and allow me?
It depends, brother. This has to do with Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, enjoining good and forbidding evil. And that has certain rules and conditions and circumstances. If this is a person who may accept what you're saying, a friend, a relative, someone who has confidence in you, you can tell them that this is an act of kufr. You don't say you are kafir, you say what you have done or this action, this mockery is an act of kufr. Okay? If they're not the type of person who will listen, not somebody you know, you need to be careful about how you get the message across. You might get the message across to a friend of theirs, someone they listen to. Tell your cousin, what they just did is very dangerous. It's an act of kufr. You cannot mock the deen, something like that. You see what I'm saying? So it really depends how you deal with it based on who is saying it and what they said. Is it public or private? If it's public, there's a good chance they're not going to accept what you're saying. You might have to tell them privately. Back to Jahl. Yusuf alayhi salam. He tells them what? I think it's only that one ayah, right? إِذْ أَنْتُمْ تَجْهَلُونَ 1289. This is backwards. Okay. إِذْ أَنْتُمْ جَاهِلُونَ. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So, do you know what you did with Joseph and his brother when you were ignorant? إِذْ أَنْتُمْ جَاهِلُونَ. This seems to combine both meanings. A lack of knowledge, a true ignorance, and ignorant behavior. In the sense that he says to them, do you know what you did with Joseph and his brother when you were ignorant? Here they are ignorant that they are talking to Joseph, their own flesh and blood, their own brother. They didn't know. Right? And at the same time, what did you do with Yusuf and his brother when you were ignorant, when you were behaving ignorantly, and you committed this egregious sin of doing what you did to Yusuf? Putting him in harm's way, taking him from your father, lying to your father. It's just one sin after another. The ultimate in jahl, in behaving ignorantly. So he says to them, إِذْ أَنْتُمْ جَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا أَإِنَّكَ لَأَنْتَ يُوسُفُ. Are you indeed Yusuf? Right? How did the king suddenly bring up Yusuf and his brother? So they understood that the person talking is Yusuf alayhi salam himself. Right? طيب. Maybe we'll continue with some of the other jahilun, because this might need a little bit of time. Or let's skip to Ar-Rahman. Go to Ar-Rahman. Al-Furqan. What's that? 2563. Okay. So, وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ, and the slave servants of the Most Merciful, those who walk upon the earth easily, and when the ignorant address them harshly, they say words of peace. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. So when the ignorant people start, and again this seems to be the meaning of those who behave ignorantly towards others. If they address you or talk to you or them, they will say salama, peace. They don't engage with the ignorant. And a lot of times we're talking about, again, ignorance of behavior. And a lot of times they are combined, because a lack of knowledge and ignorance that arises due to a lack of knowledge usually will result in ignorant behavior. So many people around the world who are ignorant of Islam have a lack of knowledge with respect to Islam, therefore behave ignorantly towards Islam and Muslims. So they are very much connected. And it is rare to see maybe one on its own independently. If they lack knowledge and they are not behaving ignorantly, that's a good thing. A lot of times it does lead to ignorant behavior. طيب, what else?
So, just to recap what you said, that disengage ignorance is
What's that?
you say that we must disengage
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is praising His slave servants of the Most Merciful are those who walk upon the earth easily, in other words, humbly. They are people who will not engage with the ignorant. They have more important things to do. They have higher objectives and aims. They don't have time to waste with the ignorant. They try once or twice, and then that's it. They don't keep engaging. Okay? وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. So they say to them, words of peace. This is the meaning. Does this mean, if I understand where you're going with this, if somebody is insulting the deen and going left and right, insulting the Prophet, peace be upon him, and this and that we have to just disengage? No, it doesn't apply necessarily across the board. Yes, sometimes we have to defend the deen, and we do it with pride. But there are times where that disengagement is also a part of wisdom, because in that situation maybe they're not insulting the deen, but they're just saying things, and you tried several times and they're just not listening. Peace. I don't have time for this. Because a lot of times going back and forth with the ignorant is a waste of time, because you might not be able to change much because they are ignorant. You might have to stop it there and say, listen, please go read these books, watch some videos, whatever it is. Once you know the topic, come, let's talk. But to continue like this can be useless. It can be, let's say, something that is a person would like to do because it actually strokes their ego that way, because they're talking to the ignorant and they feel they're so knowledgeable and so on. But if you're not getting the message across, is that really something to be proud of? Just that you proved yourself? This person is clearly not understanding what you're saying. He's just coming back with all kinds of stupid replies. So wait a second. It's not only about proving yourself to others or to yourself for that matter. This person may not be the type of person who is to be, told these things. It's way beyond them. In fact, a knowledgeable teacher talks to people at their level. This is why the Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, خَاطِبُ النَّاسِ بِمَا يَعْرِفُونَ. Talk to people accordingly and commensurately with the level of knowledge that they have. أَتُحِبُّونَ أَن يُكَذَّبَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. Would you like it if Allah and His Messenger are disbelieved in? Did we mention this hadith before? In other words, if you talk to a people above their level and they do not understand what you're saying, guess what's going to happen? They're going to say, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. And they're going to disbelieve in everything you just mentioned about Allah and about the Messenger of Allah. And in so doing, they have disbelieved in Allah and the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying, when you talk to a people above their level, you are an instrument of people that is leading people to disbelieve in Allah and the Messenger of Allah. So speak to people at their level. And this applies to some Muslims when they get really excited when a new convert or revert comes to Islam, and they start drowning them with all kinds of information and hadith and stories, and the guy's head is starting to hurt and you can see it. His face is becoming red, his head is about to explode. Have mercy. One by one. You learned this over the course of 30 or 40 years. He just accepted Islam. He's a little baby. He cannot walk yet, or she cannot even, she's crawling. Wait, hold on. One by one. Khalas, enough. You gave her 1 or 2 hadith today, enough. Give her the next hadith the next day, And the problem is it's not only one person, it's several. So she's done with her, the other sister grabs her, gives her everything she learned in 40 years. And then the next one. And the lady's like, oh my God, what did I do? Right? Be careful. طيب. The Prophet ﷺ, 635. And if their evasion is difficult for you, then if you are able to seek a tunnel into the earth or a stairway into the sky to bring them a sign, then do so. But if Allah had willed, He would have united them upon guidance. So never be of the ignorant. Allahu Akbar. Allah is talking to His Prophet ﷺ and telling him, do not be of the ignorant. Does this in any way affect or diminish the status of the Prophet ﷺ? Some people, in a kind of strange type of understanding, may think so, that it is somehow diminishing. And this is because of a shubha they have, a misconception. You are understanding it the wrong way. Don't look at it with regards to how it reflects on the Prophet ﷺ. Rather, look at it to understand the magnificence of the one who commanded the Prophet ﷺ. This is Allah Almighty speaking not only to the Prophet ﷺ, but all of the prophets in this way. Beware, do not be of the ignorant. And we know, God willing, they won't be. Allah chose them. Could they then be of the ignorant? No, but Allah is commanding. So this is actually reflecting on the magnificence of the one who commanded. Not in any way the baseness of the one who's being commanded. Is that clear? I see some eyes. Musa alayhi salam said something similar. Nuh alayhi salam said something similar. And those are some of the verses you did not mention to me. So, let's go there. Surah Hud. I don't think you mentioned it. Chapter 11. Verse 46. In the case of Musa and Bani Israel, about the command to slaughter the cow, just a minute, I'll come back to Nuh. He said, I seek refuge in Allah of being of the ignorant. So here, the prophets of Allah, peace be upon them all themselves, seek refuge in Allah of being of the ignorant. Again, doesn't in any way diminish their status. It's the other way around. It's their concern that they not be classified amongst the ignorant. So he said, أعوذ بالله أن أكون من الجاهلين. Musa alayhi salam. Nuh alayhi salam. Allah tells him, "O Noah, indeed he is not of your family." So what happened? After his son was drowned in the flood, Nuh alayhi salam couldn't take it. So he said, beautiful verse just before it, and Noah called to his Lord and said, "My Lord, indeed my son is of my family." Enough. Full stop. No need for any other explanation or request. Allah told him, "We will save you and your family." He said, "Oh Allah, my son is of my family." Again, look at the adab. He didn't say, "Oh, and you promised." He said rather, "Your promise is truth. I know your promise is truth. وَإِنَّ وَعْدَكَ الْحَقِّ." And you are the best or the most just of judges. وَأَنْتَ أَحْكَمُ الْحَكِيمِ. He said, "O Noah, indeed he is not of your family. Indeed he is one whose work was other than righteous. So ask me not for that about which you have no knowledge. Indeed, I advise you lest you be among the ignorant." Ya Allah. Again, it's not that he is amongst the ignorant. Allah is telling him, beware, do not be of the ignorant. Now, when Nuh alayhi salam asked his question, he truly did not know. He said, "Oh Allah, you promised to save my family, and my son is of my family." So now Allah is telling him, he is not of your family, because he disbelieved. So now again, whenever I read that verse, I cannot get over, again, the magnificence of Allah. Not that we are putting Nuh alayhi salam down, the other way around. Who is talking to Nuh? Who is talking to Nuh, right? Ulul Azm min ar-Rusul, one of the 5 best prophets, and the prophets are the best of humanity. So one of the 5 greatest human beings, and he's telling him, beware of being the ignorant. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who else can talk to Nuh like that other than Allah? Beware. Do not ask me this again. You asked the first time, you didn't know. Now you know. He is not of your family. Nuh alayhi salam, did he debate? Back and forth? قال رب إني أعوذ بك أن أسألك ما ليس لي به علم. My Lord, I seek refuge in you from asking that of which I have no knowledge. And unless you forgive me and have mercy upon me, I will be among the losers. Allahu Akbar. This is the way of the prophets, peace be upon them all. Immediately coming back, repenting, feeling that they did something that they should seek forgiveness from. This applies to all of the things that were done by the prophets that may warrant seeking the forgiveness of Allah. It happened to the Prophet ﷺ himself. طيب. So here he tells the Prophet ﷺ, back to Al-An'am 635, فَلَا تَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. Okay. So, again, no one truly understands the plight and the anguish the Prophet ﷺ experienced when he was calling others to Allah and they would not respond. No one understands it. Because none of you is Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Allah tells him in more than one ayah, do not kill yourself if they are to refuse the message. It means the anguish he used to feel is anguish that may lead him to kill himself. That's how much pain he would feel because his people are not responding. Because he wants nothing more in life than to have them respond. You and I do not have the same feeling. So don't pretend to know what he is feeling. We don't. I never felt I'm going to kill myself just because, this person wasn't going to accept whatever I was telling them. But the Prophet ﷺ was so keen on their guidance, their hidayah, this is the way he felt. So that's why he tells him, if their evasion is difficult for you, if you are able to seek a tunnel into the earth, or a stairway into the sky, in other words, to do the impossible, to bring to them a sign, then do so. But if Allah willed, He would have united them upon guidance. In other words, guidance is not in your hands. إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. You do not guide whomever you will, but Allah guides whomever He wills. So never be of the ignorant. Do not be of the ignorant ones. Very good. Similarly, Ahzab. No, Az-Zumar. Where's Az-Zumar? This one. 3964. Say, O Muhammad, is it other than Allah that you order me to worship, O ignorant ones? Say to them, you want me to worship someone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The kuffar, when they told him, worship our God one day and we worship your God the other. And it was already revealed to you and those before you that if you should associate anything with Allah, your work would surely become worthless and you would surely be among the losers. Allahu Akbar. Again, who's he talking about? The prophets. وَلَقَدْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ وَإِلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ لَإِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ. He's not talking to humanity, he's talking to the Prophet, peace be upon him. Again, some people have problems with these verses. They find it difficult. How is Allah talking to the Prophet to become a mushrik? No way. Of course, no way. But this is Allah talking to His messengers, not you. He tells them, لَإِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ. If you were, and it's not going to happen, but if you were to happen, you, and you are the best, you will be of the losers. Again, say to them, do you command me to worship other than Allah, O ignorant ones? Here, al-jahiliyyah. The time of ignorance, the period of ignorance, the pre-Islamic period, referred to as al-jahiliyyah. A time where there was no message except those who are still upon the authentic message and religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Okay? So in general they are muwahhideen, but the message of Islam has not arrived yet. So he mentions it and he advises them, وَلَا تَبَرَّجْنَا تَبَرُّجَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى. So do not act like the women of al-jahiliyyah in the way they used to dress immodestly, displaying all that they have of beauty, right? Al-jahiliyyah, the period of ignorance. And let me conclude with jahula. Someone read the verse, please. 3372. 72. Read it, please, in English. Slowly. Yes, in English, please. If you don't want to, brother, anybody else, no problem.
In that we offer the trust to the heavens and the earth and the mountains, and they declined to bear it and feared it. But men undertook to bear it. In that he was unjust and ignorant.
This ayah confused many. Not laymen like you and me, but scholars. So, number one, إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ. So now I can erase, right? إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ. Amana is the trust. But what exactly is that trust? It's not easy. The trust could apply to different things. It's mujmal. The trust. Wallahu a'lam, it seems that the correct opinion, and the opinion of many of the scholars of Tafseer, is that this is a reference to the concept and the reality of accountability. That we are held accountable for our actions. Taklif. If you do good, you will be rewarded. And if you do otherwise, you will be punished. That amana, that trust, was offered to the heavens. Ajib. Writes for a minute and then it stops. To the heavens, the earth, and the mountains. فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها. So they refused to take it, and they were afraid of it. In other words, it's too heavy. It's ostensibly a simple idea. You do good, you'll be rewarded. You do otherwise, you'll be punished. Accountability. But it's very heavy. So they were afraid of it. And they refused. They said, we cannot bear it. This is beyond us. إِنَّ عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ فَأَبَيْنَ أَنْ يَحْمِلْنَهَا وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانُ. The human being is the one who bore it, who accepted it, with all of its meanings, conclusions, and consequences. وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانُ. So the one who took it is the human being, humanity. But will they give it its due right? No. Again, in general. Because there are some who will give it its due right, but they are few compared to those who will not. Right? So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then describes the human being as the last part, إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا.
And he was
unjust and ignorant. Jahula. صيغة مبالغة. It's a hyperbolic term with regards to ignorance. Jahul. Very ignorant. Unjust and exceedingly ignorant. So, how does this apply? And what does it mean? Again, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the human being as ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا is also a mystery. I've even heard a professor try to say that this is actually positive, because it seems to be in the context of praising the human being who carried the trust. But wallahu a'lam, it does seem to be negative. But not with regards to people who did carry the trust, but in general, the human being is most unjust towards themselves and others, and is most ignorant in their actions, in their sins, in not respecting the trust and the idea of accountability, because if they did, they would act the way they're supposed to. But most of the time, they did not act the way they were supposed to. Even Muslims who are sinful are practicing this unjustness, ظلوم, and ignorance, because sinning itself is an act of ignorance. So, it is a fact that the human being is the one who was given the responsibility of the trust. But will he give it its due right? No. Giving it its due right would be on another level. The rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the rights He has upon us of obedience. But the human being, subhanallah, is prone to constantly sin. And this is done a lot of times out of ignorance. Out of ignorance, here I mean the behavior of ignorance. Because sinning is ignorant behavior. Yes, sister.
Here, when the man who accepted the trust, referring to Nabi Adam alayhi salam,
it is referring to the acceptance of the trust even way back when it was offered to our souls, not to our bodies per se. Yeah. So this trust, this idea of accountability is something that the human being agreed to. But unfortunately, we cannot give it its full due. And therefore, he was characterized as zaloom, unjust, which is again a hyperbolic term with regards to dhulm, and jahul with regards to jahl. And both refer to not giving this trust its due right, not giving Allah His due magnification and obedience. Wallahu a'lam. Yes, brother.
Can you say that the malaikat,
That the malaika,
Yeah.
angels, yeah.
angels were able to also the trust and they were more just?
The angels do not have the choice to accept or not accept because they don't have free will. So and this is why, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't mention that it was given to the angels. It was offered to السماوات والأرض والجبال. The angels, as they do not have free will, and this is why the debate raged on for a while, who is better, an angel or an obedient human being? A lot of scholars said, some scholars said the angels because they don't sin. Their whole life is obedience to Allah and worship. But many scholars said, but they don't have the choice. They're doing it and they're forced. It's involuntary. There's no comparison between the human being who voluntarily chooses obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Such a person is definitely even on a higher pedestal than even the angels, because they chose it voluntarily as opposed to the angels. But when you look at humanity in general, can we say that we gave the trust its due right? Look at humanity. You know humanity, you know what they're doing. إنه كان ظلوما جهولا. This is the general the idea when applied generally to all of humanity. This is what's going on. There are few who are trying not to be of the unjust or the ignorant. They are the ones whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward, inshaAllah. Wallahu a'lam. Any questions or comments at this point? Yes, brother.
The Islam won't be excused due to lack of knowledge. As you said also earlier.
Will not be excused?
Excused.
Will be excused.
Due to lack of knowledge, right?
Okay. But again, it applies, it doesn't apply across the board. So what do you want to ask about?
The question now is, someone who has the means to seek for knowledge,
Right.
but he refuses, or he has access to knowledge,
Right.
but he refuses to seek for knowledge. So,
Yeah, obviously this person is more accountable for their ignorance and less excusable because they have the means and maybe they refuse or they don't want to. Yes, you are correct. So, a simple example. You and I and the rest of the Muslims cannot all be Shaykh al-Islam, scholars across the board who study Islamic Sharia and fiqh and all of these things. Different specialties, right? However, now you have a certain you have a certain businessman. Does he have to know all of the fiqh of Islam so he can explain it as other scholars do? No. Does he have to know the fiqh which is relevant to his business? Yes. That fiqh he needs to know, because it's in his everyday dealing. Just like you and I are required to know the fiqh, the understanding of things that you and I do. So if they are, most of the time they're dealing in business, they need to know that what they're doing is halal. They cannot just say, no, I don't know, I'm not a faqih. Okay, go to someone who can help you. Have an advisor. Don't just do things from the top of your head and then years later discover half of your wealth was haram, God forbid. You see what I'm saying, brother? So in those situations, yes, ignorance is not always excusable. But here we were trying to make the distinction between ignorance, which means simply a lack of knowledge, as opposed to behaving ignorantly, insolently, stupidly, etc., etc. Okay? Anything else? Brother Shaykh, anything? Nobody? Barakallah feekum. So this was a quick thematic type of tafseer where we try to find the concept of jahl, ignorance, in its different contexts and meanings in relation to different topics, different addresses in the Quran, and there are others, okay? But we try to get a general idea of this topic as it is dealt with in the Noble Quran. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of the knowledgeable, not to make us of the ignorant, inshaAllah, and accept from us. Barakallahu feekum. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.